Ready to master Celonis ML Workbench? Here are 30 essential interview questions every process mining professional needs to know. From core concepts to advanced techniques, we'll cover everything in just 6 minutes. Let's dive into the most comprehensive Celonis ML Workbench guide you'll find, perfect for process mining beginners and interview preparation. Let's get started with Section 1. Core Concepts of Celonis MEL Workbench. Question 1. What is the Celonis ML Workbench, and what is its purpose? Be prepared to explain how the ML Workbench enables users to integrate machine learning models with Celonis for predictive and prescriptive analytics. Question 2. What are the main components or functionalities provided by Celonis ML Workbench? Explain parts such as Jupyter-based notebook environment, integration with Python, Pandas, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, etc. Built-in connectors for process mining data. Deployment of ML models into Celonis Action Engine. Question 3. What differentiates Celonis ML Workbench from traditional ML platforms? Highlight its focus on integrating machine learning with process mining use cases and how it streamlines connecting process event data to ML workflows. Data preparation in Celonis ML Workbench. Question 4. How do you load Celonis data into the ML Workbench for building models? Discuss the use of the Action Engine API/Data Pool API for pulling event logs and process-related data into the workbench. Question 5. What are event logs in Celonis, and why are they crucial for ML Workbench projects? Explain the importance of event logs in process mining and how they are structured, for example, case ID, event timestamp. Question 6. What pre-processing steps are necessary before applying machine learning to Celonis process data? Talk about pre-processing steps like handling null values, normalization or scaling, feature engineering, for example, creating cycle times, throughput, or custom KPIs. Question 7. How do you handle imbalanced data sets from process data in Celonis? Discuss techniques like oversampling, undersampling, SMOT, synthetic minority oversampling technique, or adjusting class weights. Machine learning models and algorithms. Question 8. What types of machine learning models are supported in the Celonis ML Workbench? Explain how you can implement supervised learning, for example, regression, classification. Unsupervised learning, for example, clustering, anomaly detection. Use of custom ML models with libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch. Question 9. Which algorithm would you recommend for predicting process outcomes, such as delivery delays or payment defaults? Provide a rationale based on the problem. For predicting delivery delays, classification models like Random Forest or XGBoost. For clustering similar cases, K-means or DBSCAN. Question 10. How would you select and evaluate a machine learning model in the Celonis ML Workbench? Describe steps like splitting data into training and testing sets, using metrics such as accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, and AUC for classification problems. Cross-validation for better evaluation. Question 11. How do you prevent overfitting when training ML models? Discuss techniques like cross-validation, regularization, L1/L2 penalties, reducing model complexity, early stopping for iterative algorithms. Integration with process mining. Question 12. How does ML Workbench integrate with Celonis process mining? Describe the workflow, such as importing process data, event logs into the ML Workbench, training machine learning models on process-specific KPIs, serving model predictions in Celonis dashboards, or triggering actions in Action Engine. Question 13. What are some common use cases of combining machine learning with Celonis process mining? Examples include predicting process delays, for example, late deliveries, SLA breaches, detecting process bottlenecks or inefficiencies, root cause analysis for quality issues, forecasting compliance risks, for example, fraud detection. Question 14. How would you deploy a machine learning model built in the ML Workbench into action in Celonis? Discuss using the Action Engine to trigger workflows based on model predictions, or deploying the model results as inputs into Celonis dashboards. Question 15. How does feedback or retraining work for ML models deployed in Celonis? Talk about continuous monitoring of model accuracy through new data sets, using real-world results to retrain and improve the model over time. Practical experience and troubleshooting. Question 16. What challenges do you foresee when applying machine learning models to process data? Discuss challenges like event logs being unstructured or incomplete, lack of sufficient training data for specific cases, scaling models for large businesses with diverse processes. Question 17. How would you troubleshoot poorly performing models in the ML Workbench? Mention steps like checking for data quality issues, improving feature engineering or selecting better predictors, experimenting with different algorithms or hyperparameters. Question 18. What pre-processing steps would you take if timestamps in event logs are inconsistent? Discuss aligning timestamps, for example, ISO 8601 format, interpolating missing timestamps, or correcting time zone offsets. Celonis ML Workbench APIs and customization. Question 19. How do you connect Celonis data using APIs in the ML Workbench? Discuss using Celonis's API capabilities, for example, PyCelonis SDK or REST APIs for data extraction. Question 20. What is the role of Python libraries in the Celonis ML Workbench? Highlight common libraries you can use, such as Pandas and NumPy, data manipulation, scikit-learn, XGBoost and TensorFlow modeling, Matplotlib and Seaborn, data visualization. Question 21. How can you export model outputs from the ML Workbench back into Celonis for process improvement? Explain exporting predictions into the Action Engine or updating dashboards with model results. Business use cases and ROI. Question 22. How can predictive analytics in the ML Workbench improve real-world processes? Provide examples. Predicting vendor payment delays for improved cash flow. Automating actions for non-conforming processes, for example, escalating issues to users. Question 23. How do you measure the success of an ML model in the context of process mining? Discuss metrics like reduction in process delays, improvement in process compliance rates, financial savings from optimized operations. Question 24. What criteria would you use to decide whether to use the Celonis ML Workbench for a project? Explain when it's relevant, for example, process data is available, predictions can add value to decision-making. Behavioral/fundamental questions. Question 25. Tell us about a project where you applied machine learning to solve a process-related issue. Highlight your experience with data extraction, pre-processing, model building, and business impacts. Question 26. How do you explain machine learning models and results to non-technical stakeholders? Emphasize clear visualizations and business outcomes rather than technical jargon. Question 27. What are your thoughts about ethical issues in using ML predictions, especially in enterprise processes? Chat about ensuring data privacy, avoiding biased models, and using predictions responsibly. Advanced topics. Question 28. Can you perform advanced techniques like reinforcement learning or deep learning in the ML Workbench? Question 29. How does Celonis handle scalability for large datasets in the ML Workbench? Question 30. How would you use anomaly detection models in process mining? Mention methods like isolation forests, one-class SVM, or autoencoders to detect outliers in event logs. Preparation tips. 1. Brush up on Python, for example, Pandas, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and basic ML concepts. 2. Familiarize yourself with Celonis's APIs and process mining concepts, event logs, KPI calculation. 3. Practice walking through a case study of how you'd use the ML Workbench to address a specific business challenge. 4. Demonstrate knowledge of real-world ML deployment and business impact. You're now ready to ace your Celonis ML Workbench interview. Subscribe for more process mining content.